Welcome back to Terror by the Bay. I'm David. All right, Vladimir Zylenskyy, the president of Ukraine, is on U.S. soil. I record this Thursday, a little after 5 o'clock p.m. on October 16th, 2025. He had a couple of phone conversations with Donald Trump last week regarding the situation in the war between Russia and Ukraine. And he flew out to the United States to discuss things that were too sensitive to discuss on the phone, even if it's a secure line. On this Axios article I have up in front of me, Zylenskyy and the Ukrainians are asking for additional support from the U.S., especially in the form of Tomahawk missiles. The Tomahawk missile is one of the most advanced U.S. missiles that are out there. Moscow, for their part, does not want Ukraine to get the Tomahawk missiles, and they're very upset by this. Apparently, Trump talked with Putin, and he's going to make an arrangement to meet with Putin in Hungary in the near future. Putin mentioned that in his call with Trump on Thursday, which would be today. Putin said that he told Trump that Tomahawks wouldn't change the situation on the battlefield, but would harm U.S.-Russian relations. Okay, that I can imagine. What else do we have in this article here? There was also the article was saying that the U.S. may not send the most advanced Tomahawks that we currently have. Let's see if I can find it. Even if Trump agrees to supply Tomahawks to Ukraine, it's unclear how many missiles the U.S. can spare from its stocks. Additionally, there are also very few Typhoon. Don't suppose that's Typhoon, but it's spelled Typhoon systems available, which Ukraine needs to launch the Tomahawk. So I guess it's a two-stage process. You need the missiles and the launchers to launch said missiles. But Zylenskyy is hopeful. He said he and Trump had good calls last week, and the fact that this meeting got set up so quickly shows how close the two of them are aligned. It was mentioned that Zylenskyy told Trump that if Trump manages to end the war in Ukraine, that Ukraine will nominate Donald Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize. And we all know that's the way to get to Donald Trump's heart, is to offer to nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize, just like Laura Loomer did. And one of the reasons for that was Zylenskyy was saying that the deal in Gaza. When I say Zylenskyy said this looks like it's Zylenskyy said it, but it's being communicated through an ambassador or somebody else. That the deal in Gaza gave Zylenskyy hope that Trump can also work out a deal with Russia and Ukraine to stop the war there. Zylenskyy wants the war stopped. Russia's the ones that won't take the peace negotiations seriously. So let's take a look at the energy around Zelenskyy's visit to the United States, and then we'll follow it up with how things might go with Trump's visit to Putin. Now, part of the thing that they want to discuss in person was the situation on the front line and battle plans. Donald Trump's the last person I would want to be telling anything, because what's going to prevent him from telling it to Putin the following week when he goes to visit Putin in Hungary, right? And Trump, I was hearing a clip of him talking about the Tomahawks. Maybe I'll send them, maybe I won't. That depends on things. It's like he makes no commitments on anything because he always wants the best deal. You know what I mean? By never committing, he makes you keep offering more and more to entice him to commit. And once he commits, there's no guarantee he's going to follow through with it anyways. He's so unreliable. But come on down. Entertainment purpose only. Let's go ahead and take a look at the energy around Zelenskyy's visit to the U.S. with regards to further arming the Ukrainian military. Again, entertainment purposes only. How does the energy look for this meeting? Well, it looks like it's a good start. 10 of Cups. People aligned. They have the same goals. they're they're emotionally on the same page, looking in the same direction, wanting to do the same thing. Everybody's going to be happy out of this. So it's certainly starting off as a happy, joy meeting. What's the cross? Well, that can with Trump, however, these things can end suddenly and abruptly. Could also be that that this sudden alignment is a very quick changing event. Either the sudden alignment or the destruction of this sudden alignment can be a very quick event. And then underneath we have the High Priestess, the secrets being shared. I would just say that while I don't believe this to be a counter intelligence meeting, it's like, do you really want to tell Trump everything that you're up to? Do you really want to tell him that? And if you do tell him that, do you then monitor communications to Russia to see if Trump is telling Russia everything that Zylenskyy told him? There is an intelligence gathering, an intelligence component underneath this. This could simply be that, hey, you brought an end to the war in Gaza. You can bring an end to war in Ukraine. It could go either way with those things, and it really just depends on which way Donald Trump wants to go. Because if you think about it, that decision lies with Trump. Do you want to be the peacemaker, or do you want to make Daddy happy? And that's the thing. It's like, he never does anything out of doing it for the right reasons. So either he's going to do something to make Vladimir Putin happy, or he'll keep Zylenskyy happy because he wants his Nobel Peace Prize, which was a pretty wise... it's a great lure to dangle in front of Donald Trump. In the past, you got the Hierophant. Zelensky's been in front of Trump in the cameras twice. The first one was a freaking disaster where J.D. Vance and Donald Trump ambushed him. And the second time, Zylenskyy had the full power of all the European leaders nearby to keep things in check. I don't believe Zylenskyy has that this time, so it'll be interesting to see how this meeting goes. But the Hierophant's about big organizations. This could be the government of Ukraine, Russia, United States with negotiations. Could also be the Nobel Peace Prize Committee. Just saying. Current situation is the Eight of Swords. All right. Zylenskyy needs this meeting, and he needs this meeting to go well and not be undermined. Part of what helped Ukraine with their very successful launch of drones against refineries in Crimea were based on U.S. intelligence. So Zylenskyy needs U.S. support, both intelligence and material, to keep up the pressure on Russia to help bring this war to an end. Overarching energy is the Knight of Pentacles. Yeah, okay, and here comes the quid pro quo. Like Zelenskyy is going to come over, offer his thanks, praise Donald Trump, offer to nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize, and the expectation is, all Trump has to do is supply the Tomahawks. And Zelensky's even told Trump, it's like, we don't even have to use the Tomahawks. Just having them there is already forcing Russia to want to go back and negotiate. Because especially if they get the latest Tomahawks, apparently it's not going to be easy for Russia to shoot those down, and they have much deeper ranges, which can attack infrastructure that makes drones, missiles, amongst other things. The lesson to be learned. Now, this is interesting. The Four Swords. That patience. Waiting for the right moment. Now, again, if I go into this as, if Trump is a spy, this is, keeping, taking the secrets and taking him back to Mar-a-Lago type thing here. But there's going to be It's a timing issue. We've got a very interesting timing issue going on here with this outcome. Good Lord. Five of Wands. If this was reversed, it would bring an end to the fighting. What's going to come out of this is even higher energy. So I suspect what will happen is Trump will probably agree to send the weapons to Ukraine. It may not be the advanced ones, though, like this article was saying, and then the fighting continues. But let's get one clarifier on the Five of Wands. What's that? Yeah, the fighting continues. It's going to continue. I don't think this is going to bring Russia to its knees. That would be the most optimistic outcome, and I don't think we're going to get the most optimistic outcome on this one. But it will probably be disruptive in Russia, and it's going to cause them to have to do additional calculus, especially given how expensive the war is and how much of the Russian economy is being pumped into the war effort. It's damaging other aspects of their economies, and it's weakening Russia. How does Zylenskyy come away when he heads back to Ukraine after his meeting with Trump? How's he feeling? A little four-carder on that one. Knight of Pentacles. He's got his offer. Maybe he's going back with the prize. The Hermit. The Lovers. The thing's looking good. The Chariot. And the King of Wands. How does he feel after that? I think he feels like he made a good offer, and he's getting action on that one. The U.S., NATO, and Ukraine are back aligned. He can bring back positive information to help with their continued fight and resistance against Russia. But look at these three major arcana underneath here. So I think from this point of view, Zylenskyy gets what he wants. Now, here's the other thing. When I was talking about spying, it's like, you give him the offer and you show the alignment, but you're keeping an eye on things too to see how things progress. So it really depends on what the primary objective and secondary objectives are in Zelenskyy's meeting with Trump. Is Zelenskyy's offer of a Nobel Peace Prize nomination? See, this is the type of thing that can get Donald Trump a Nobel Peace Prize if he can pull it off. This is the kind of thing that can get it for you. Of course, you got to stop sending your National Guard against your own citizens too, because they kind of cancel each other out. You can't get the Peace Prize for solving wars outside your country peacefully, but then instigate wars within your country. That's not how this works. Is the Peace Prize the piece de resistance in this deal for Carter? Page of Cups. Okay, you got the Ace of Cups, the Seven of Coins, the Justice card, and the Decisions. Trump evaluating the offers that are being given to him, trying to figure out who his friends are, while trying to make a buck in the process. Again, it's kind of like who gets into his ear last is who he listens to. There's also a justice or a feeling of injustice here. I think he's still big mad about not getting his Nobel Peace Prize. And I think he's thinking maybe this is the thing that gets me over the top. The fact that he claims that the woman in Venezuela that won the Nobel Peace Prize offered it to him. Maybe she did. Maybe she said. Maybe she really did say that he deserved it. But doing that so the U.S. will support her and force Maduro out of office. That kind of thing. What does she care about the Peace Prize when she's supposed to be running her country? Fine, you can tell him all you want. I'll give it to you. You can have it. You can have the medal. I'll totally will vocally back you for a Nobel Peace Prize if you help solve my problems. It's kind of like visiting the Dawn, the openings, the wedding in The Godfather. Asking for favors from the Godfather type thing. Will Trump share secrets that Zylenskyy tells him with Putin? Now, I didn't say Zylenskyy was going to be honest or truthful with them with those secrets. I'm just asking, if Zylenskyy tells him things in confidence, will Trump share that with Vladimir Putin? Of course he will. Putin will nominate him for a peace prize. Jeez, I don't even know. I have to throw clarifiers on that. Five of Swords. That's actually an interesting card. Page of Wands. Four of Coins. And the Tower card. Okay, so I think now we understand what the cross was. The happy buddy thing. But will Trump share it? Yeah, he probably will, because this was the cross. You tell Trump information, and now it's available to the highest bidder type of thing. I'll tell you what I know, but you have to give me something of value in return, and I'll tell you everything I know. I wouldn't trust him. So I guess you can paint. I wouldn't give him honest assessments, in other words. And you sure as hell don't tell him your secret plans. This is kind of like before the landing of D-Day, entire armies were created, and radio traffic was done, and reports typed up, and things were leaked so that just enough noise and traffic to make the Germans think that a new army was created, and giving information that the U.S. was planning on launching D-Day with Calais as a landing point, and kept the German assets frozen in a defensive Calais rather than Normandy. It might be something like that, where you just create some false noise, some false traffic, some false intel, and then send it out there. Let's put it this way. I don't think Zelensky's an idiot, and I don't think he's going to tell Trump anything that he wouldn't expect Vladimir Putin to find out. Okay. Spirit overall for Carter, does this meeting help bring Ukraine closer to a peaceful resolution with Russia? Just a 4-Carter. 8 of Wands. Things moving quickly. Could be missiles moving quickly, but something's moving quickly. 10 of Swords. That's an ending. Page of Swords. 9 of Wands and the Devil. Does it? It's not clear. I think it's almost like it just brings more death and destruction. This is like the missiles coming in, then you got the spy in the camp, the novel idea, but this is probably the spy in the camp. The mole, the agent, the secret agent. A lot of things being brought to an end, but still waiting for the next shoe to drop. You know what this is telling me? This is telling me that the information Zylenskyy tells him gets transmitted by a spy, because there's a spy in here. It's corrupt. And, it kills. This is the type of thing that would be treasonous on Donald Trump's part. Aid and comfort to an enemy. And it's almost like they're just waiting to see if Trump... It's literally... This is like Ukraine trying to see if they can trust the Trump administration. That's what I'm getting from that. Will this corrupt individual broadcast to Putin the stuff that we just shared with him? And they would probably monitor communications leading up to the face-to-face meeting. So I'm not excited that Donald Trump will do the right thing. I am not excited at all. How about something from Putin's perspective? Is Putin expecting to get information from Donald Trump after Trump meets with Zylenskyy? How about we go at it from this direction? Lover's card. Temperance. Two of coins. Wheel of Fortune. Agreements. Big time agreements. Diminishing values. Taking your time. Things progressing. Yeah, it's kind of like Donald Trump's paying off a blackmail debt that they have in here. Information that he shares helps reduce Donald Trump's debt, but it's always ongoing. The debt's never paid off. Yeah, Putin's looking forward to hearing what Donald has to tell him. Oh well, it was nice while nice shot, nice while it lasted. Again, don't necessarily believe the mad ravings of a tarot card reader on YouTube. I could be way off on this one, but if I were reading it, it would be like, yeah, maybe I think both groups get kind of what they want. I think Zylenskyy gets more weapons and assurances from the U.S., and then Donald Trump can drop some information to Putin to get stuff from Putin. Okay? I like my life simple. This is complicated. Thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. I do appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I hope you found it insightful, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.